Hey, it's Vaz here from Aussie RC Playground, and today we're going to be watching something a little different. This is my interview with the founder of ARRMA, Jason Dearden. So in late 2018, I had this crazy idea that I wanted to interview Jason about ARRMA, the brand. And the whole idea here is to really talk about where ARRMA came from, how it all started, talk about some of its recent history, like regarding the lawsuit and the switch over to Horizon, and of course talk about its future. Where is the company headed? Of course, some of these things regarding the future were a little bit sensitive information, so we couldn't really talk about upcoming products and things like that. But this, of course, took a lot of planning, and I was able to sit down with Jason for about an hour and a half via Skype. But of course, uploading a video an hour and a half long here on YouTube, especially on an RC channel like mine, chances are not everybody's going to watch right through that. So I've split the video up into 3 parts. This, of course, being part 1. Now, this is a little bit more of an introductory into the whole interview, and you sort of start to get a bit of a feel for it, and understanding of what I'm really talking about and how it's all sort of where the interview is going. I think part 2 and 3 is where the questions get a little bit more juicy, I think. But there is still quite a fair bit of relevant information in this part, and I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I hope that you stick around for the upcoming 2 parts that will be released very, very soon. I will have the questions in the video description as well with timestamps. So if you want to skip ahead to a particular question, or perhaps go back to a question after you've watched the video, you can do so by going to those timestamps in the video description. Hopefully they work. And of course, I'll have any additional information in there that I can find, and kind of keep you guys all informed. But for now, I'm going to roll tape, as they say. I'm going to let the interview speak for itself, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the part 2 of my interview with ARRMA. Jason, thank you very much for coming on and doing this with me. I really do appreciate your time. I'm sure that a lot of us here are going to get a lot out of this interview, so I'm going to start this off by kind of asking you to explain in your own words what is your position at ARRMA, and what that entails, and how long you've been there.
I'm the founder of the company and the brand. We started just under 10 years ago, so April the 1st, 2009 is when we kicked things off. And I kind of run the show day to day, but effectively whilst I'm the manager, I'm just a member of the team here. We've got 15 people here, and we all do our best to produce the very best product we can for ARRMA and our fans.
Oh, excellent. So how and when did ARRMA come to be? How did it all start?
Well, I started out in this, let me rewind a little bit further. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, I discovered RC cars down at the local village hall, and I've been kind of fascinated by the things ever since. So in 92, I kind of put a few £100, as we would say, a few £100 into buying a bit of product, and started a distribution business back then. So I'd done the racing scene. I got sponsored, got a decent amount of kind of mediocre success. So I made a few contacts, so that was allowed me to buy a few things, and so I had this really kind of small sideline business in 92. Yeah. In 98, I was approached by the owner of HPI Racing that was based in California, and I founded HPI Europe for them in 98, and did 10 years there. So within that sort of 10-year period at HPI, I kind of built sales up in Europe to be similar kind of level. We became one of the leading brands in the European market, and I did a spell in the R&D team at HPI, and I moved the production from Japan to Taiwan, as it was then, and kind of helped push forward projects like the Savage and the Baja, and some of those and Sprint, as it is still, Sprint 2 now. So I did 10 years at HPI Europe, and then sort of almost 10 years ago to the day, I decided that the owner of HPI and I weren't seeing eye to eye. So 10 years, I think it was something like October, November 2008, decided to leave HPI. It was becoming a little bit too kind of stressful, not agreeing with the owner.
Yeah, fair enough.
So 10 years ago, right now, as I sit here, 10 years ago, I was effectively out of work. So it was a case of, well, how do I give this RC thing that I'm very passionate about one last go? So I hooked up with a Taiwanese factory, and the owner of that factory had just acquired Team Durango, and he wanted somebody to manage that for him, and he asked me to do that for him. And but I'd always liked the appeal of the RTR market and the general market and getting people into what is a great hobby. So I said to him, well, if I help you with Team Durango, can you help? Can you help with an RTR brand? And at that point, we didn't know the name; it was just an idea. So that was 10 years ago. And then, like I say, on April the 1st, 2009, we kind of got a team started. It was just myself and one other guy, and then we started the task of hiring people to help manage the. There was a couple of people on the Durango side that the factory had already hired, so I was working with them and then building the team to sort of get things going. And we didn't really get going with ARRMA until late to summer, till sort of Q3 2019. So it's going to be our 10-year anniversary this year for the ARRMA brand, which is really exciting. And, I think we've come a long way in that time.
Oh, I think you have. I think you've done very, very well. And I'm sure a lot of guys out there would agree with you, no doubt about that. Can you tell me about ARRMA's taglines? Design fast, design tough, and don't just bash, blast. And what does that mean to you and the team?
Well, the first one, designed fast, design tough. That is something that I came up with to sort of help direct the team here as to the kind of product I wanted them to put out. So, we all know what it's like to have an exciting, fast RC car. It's got power. There's that pucker factor, that fun factor. But we don't like wrenching on cars. We don't like them to break all the time. So I came up with the phrase "design fast, design tough," so that the designers here realise that they always need to produce a fast, exciting product, but also be tough.
Yeah.
There's no point in having one or the other. There's no point having a tank that's slow and boring. There's no point having a fast vehicle that's so fragile that you daren't jump it. So that's where that came from, and that's always been like the headline above everything that we do. The don't just bash blast thing came from one of our guys that helps us out, or still helps us out with social media and marketing, and that was to sort of encourage people to realise that you can push we designed the product so you can push it further. Yeah. And then he came up with that term. So, and then obviously the graphic designers start using that a little bit more on the on the decal designs and inside the body and various things like that, and that becomes a tagline. What was the third one? Send it, was it?
Oh, there is. Well, yeah. I mean, there is a hashtag send it, which I think is pretty much well known that probably originated online.
That didn't originate here. That's our fan base coming back with that. Sort of with ARRMA cars. Just send it, and that's exciting when you send it fast, you send it high. Work it out in the air, and then make sure you can land. Not everybody lands it.
No. But they're never afraid to send it. That's the good thing.
That's the fun you can have with ARRMA cars is we design them fast, we design them tough. We expect you to give them a blast out there, and then whilst you're giving it a blast, you might as well send it at the same time, haven't you? So.
They definitely, a lot of people out there definitely send it. That's for sure.
So let's see what new taglines come up.
I'll be very curious to see what the future holds. I'm sure there'll be a few words put together in the future that will, definitely go alongside these quite well. Now, this is one that is from one of my viewers. This is a question from one of my viewers. ARRMA has become very well known for making some of the toughest RC cars on the market today, and not to mention some of the nicest looking ones. Where does the inspiration for the designs come from? So the chassis design, body designs, where does that all come from?
Well, like I touched on earlier, we've got 15 guys here. Everything from, we've got graphics and graphic designers, we've got people that have been trained and do 3D design for the body shells, and then obviously we've got mechanical engineers. We've got, you know, myself who's the manager, but I'm passionate about it. Everybody here has got a passion for the product, and also we're keen to listen to what the consumers say about the product. So a lot of us are watching YouTube, and this is why, you know, I hooked up with your channel a few years ago, and it's an honour for me to be on your channel, because you're one of the first people that really took ARRMA seriously and took the product on face value rather than just just monitoring the big brands kind of thing. So yeah, we have a lot of design review meetings. We keep coming back to the core values, you know, what's going to make people excited about the product. And we also watch what people do with the product. So people like Thomas Pettersson, TP Parts channel, he's a guy that, you know, he's always modifying things, and, you know, I have to credit him for the Outcast, because, you know, he made the Kraton shorter. Yeah. And so we take ideas internally. We take ideas from, I mean, that's the benefit of social media. We can see what you guys are doing with the vehicles, and that inspires us to do new things. So, yeah, anywhere we'll take ideas from anywhere. Any good ideas. So,
oh, that's good. I'm glad to see. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I'm actually quite passionate about the brand myself, because you do take this information back on board, not just the information that I pass on to you, but what guys like Thomas are doing, and various others out there are playing around with these cars and doing things with them. And you're obviously keeping your ears to the ground and acting on it and going, okay, guys are doing a lot of speed runs. So now, you know, the Italian V3 has always got a rating at 10 miles an hour quicker than the rest, because that's kind of like the speed car at the moment. So it's really good to see that.
Yeah, and that's, like I say, that fuels our future. So what you guys, what the public, what our fans do with the vehicles, that fuels what we can bring back for the future. So yeah, let's keep it up. I mean, I see it as a partnership between the users and ourselves, and we have to take on board the user comments, because at the end of the day, they use their hard-earned cash for the product. I mean, back when I was 13, and I used to 13, 14, 15, when I was going RC car racing, you know, I used to have to take lunch money. I used to buy the cheapest thing on the menu, so I'd got a few extra pounds to get RC car racing, and so I know that there needs to be a value offering there, and this isn't just a rich kids' hobby. Yeah. This can be for anybody. I've been passionate about mechanical things ever since I got into RC cars, and that gave me a direction and a passion in life, and I think it's an exciting thing that we can take to people. And it's really interesting for me to see, because I used to tinker all the time. When I had RC cars, I wasn't too worried about the racing results. I was more interested in, you know, what if I made this change to the car, what would it do? Yeah. And that's what's fascinating. When I watch on YouTube and I see people doing crazy, you know, modifying cars and doing crazy things, that really interests me, and it interests a lot of people here. So, yeah, let's keep the party going.
Keep it going. So as I said, ARRMA is a company that I'm very passionate about, because it does what so many RC companies and companies in general don't do, and that is to listen to feedback from its users and continuously make incremental improvements to its products based on that feedback. So this is something that we've just touched on briefly. Updates to the ARRMA car seems to be coming around every year or so. And I'm curious to know, how come ARRMA can do this and others can't, or perhaps won't? What makes ARRMA so different in that regard?
It's our business model. We focus on, as you said earlier, we listen to the consumers, what's going on in the market. And we focus on the RTR rather than option parts and accessories and lots of other things. There's a whole market out there for that. But so we focus on the car. Once it's launched, we see what's going on with the vehicle in the marketplace, and then we immediately come back with a list of things that we need to potentially improve going forward. Yep. We put a ton of time into testing, but of course the consumers will do more extreme things. So yeah, we just have that philosophy that we should keep making the RTR better and better. That's how we'll win people over to the brand. At the end of the day, people are putting their hand in the pocket for a large amount of money, so it needs to be the best experience possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've really become quite passionate about the brand, and why I'm thrilled to obviously have you on the channel here talking about this, is because whilst so many other companies just seem to be pumping out the same cars every year with perhaps a different color body, you actually make structural improvements to the vehicles, which makes a big difference when they're actually on the track. It's not just a new body, there's better knuckles or better diffs or better battery trays.
We make running changes, under the skin running changes as well, so sometimes we might make little tweaks and adjustments and improvements, and then obviously when we do the actual full-on revision, then we shout about the even bigger changes that we make. But yeah, it's all about consumer satisfaction. Yeah, it's got to be fast, got to be tough, and we do our best to deliver on that.
Comes straight back to that tagline at the beginning. So.
Yeah, I mean it isn't written above the door here. I mean, we possibly should, but it is the goal that we focus on. Fast and tough, which means excitement, which means value for money, and all those kind of things. Yeah. And if there's anything we can do to improve on that, then we'll take it on board and we'll come back around and do it.
Yep. So now I'm going to start asking a little bit more serious questions here. So ARRMA started life with the two-wheel drive vehicles such as the Granite, Raider, Mojave, Vortex, and AX10, I believe it was called, right?
ADX10.
ADX10. So during that time, ARRMA had those cars. There wasn't much talk about the brand other than the funky radio that it had with the two-sided steering wheel, which is ambidextrous, which is really cool. So when do you think ARRMA turned the corner and began to have a significant impact in the hobby? When did people start taking notice, do you think?
Well, the hobbyists, the people that sold really, really well. We sold a ton of those cars, but they were being sold to people that are the people that try RC. They don't stick at it necessarily. So, and then they're not kind of the people that are going to go onto social media and shout about a product or a brand, because it's just one of the many hobbies or pastimes they have. But once we launched the 6S vehicles, which were obviously massively overpowered in comparison to what was on the market then, and it's still now, and also supremely tough again in comparison to what's on the market then and now. The hobbyists really started to take note, and then they're the people that are more vocal online. People like yourselves that are a little bit more experienced. That's where you start to think, oh, these guys know what they're doing. Yeah. So yeah, the 6S's were the platform that really kind of put us on the map with the serious, well, I wouldn't say serious hobbyists, because hobby is a hobby, but the people that really are, proper hobbyists. And then obviously once we did the Nero phase on and Big Rock, then we were seen for the innovation that we could bring to the market as well. Yeah. And that also helped put us on the map, and they were outrageously powerful as well. So yeah, the 8-scale 6S vehicles is what really put us on the map.
I would have figured that would have been your answer there. Which kind of leads me into the next question. When ARRMA did first release those 1/8 scale cars, there were a couple of issues, namely the ESC, that I think soured the taste of ARRMA for a few people out there, both consumers and retailers. although I didn't have much go wrong with my cars at the time, I think I only had one ESC go, which was the one on the Creighton. How did this impact the company, and how did you overcome it, or has ARRMA overcome it at all?
I think we've overcome it now, but obviously at the time it was quite a challenge. We test all our cars rigorously. I mean, that's the reason why we can put tough as one of our taglines. And we didn't see any trouble before launch, otherwise we wouldn't have launched the product. But definitely, of course, there was a small percentage of people that were having problems. It took us a while to work out what those problems were. And in essence, what was happening is if you were going really pretty quickly forwards, jumped and then sort of landed and the vehicle went backwards, it would put back EMF up to the speed controller and it would cause the chip to pop. And then once, depending on where the chip was, where the throttle was at that point in time, would depend on whether it just died in a safe, neutral way or whether it died with the throttle open and then quickly overheated and stuff. So yeah, it was an embarrassing episode, something that we had to jump onto. We spent a lot of time working that out. That's all improved. We've improved our test protocols because of that. So we now know what to test for. And I think it's safe to say we also now use a more experienced and reliable supplier for those kind of things. That we work very closely with. So yeah, it was a. I mean, everybody loved the chassis. Certain people had problems with the speed controller, and it's something we had to address really quickly. Yeah. So apologise to anybody out there that had those problems, but hopefully now you can see that now we're on generation 3 of the vehicles. We have that problem solved.
Yeah, there's really no issues with the ESCs. It's a different ESC. I think from the Series 2, you changed everything out. So, but it was it was a tricky one because, like I said, I really didn't have too many issues with my cars. But obviously there were people out there. There were videos going around of people, with their cars catching fire and all that sort of thing. So I'm glad that you nailed it, and it's all behind you. It's all going well.